Good morning. Extreme weather coast to coast. Severe storms pound the Northeast overnight, flooding roads and forcing evacuations. While out west, record high temperatures scorching millions.
It's too hot. It's too hot.
Prompting new wildfire fears and calls for people to simply stay inside. Al has everything you need to know.
But let's get started in the Northeast, where rain pummeled the region overnight, causing flooding and tornado watches across parts of the area. The scene's a stark contrast to the extreme heat out west. We've got it all covered for you this morning, including Al's forecast. But let's get started with NBC's Morgan Radford in New York. Morgan, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. Let's just be honest. This has been a pretty tough summer for millions of Americans across the country. Here in the Northeast, we've gotten used to the rain that's already still coming down. And this is after pretty severe weather hit the Northeast overnight and even earlier this week, creating damage like this that crews are now waking up still trying to clean up. This is a sinkhole that was created from that weather damage. And then when you go out west, the issue is extreme heat. That heat now reaching the triple digits.
Overnight in the Northeast, another round of torrential rain and flash flooding.
I'm scared. I'm shaking.
In hard-hit Bucks County, Pennsylvania, some residents forced to immediately evacuate their homes as water poured in.
Everything around my bed and everything was just full of water and puddles, and she was like, we have to get out.
Rescue boats helping people to safety.
I grew up here, man. I've never seen this.
Scenes like this playing out across the region. In Boston, which is already dealing with one of its wettest Julys ever. Rescue workers helping stranded drivers in this community just north of the city.
The water's up to the top of the seats.
Cars also trapped in floodwaters in West Milford, New Jersey. Meanwhile, out west, the problem is scorching heat.
That moment when you open the oven and that gust of heat hits you in the face. That is exactly what it feels like.
As blistering summer conditions continue to pack a punch.
It's too hot. It's too hot.
Much needed relief for some may be on the horizon.
Luckily, it's not going to be as hot today as what we had to deal with over the weekend.
The heat dome that's been baking the region for weeks is finally starting to shrink. But for millions of residents and visitors, more dry air and triple-digit forecasts are on the way.
Just try to stay inside and hydrate.
After tying the city's record high of 117 degrees, temperatures are set to top 100 all week in Las Vegas. In California and Oregon, scorching conditions and ongoing droughts are fueling massive wildfires. The Beckworth Complex fire in California spreading by tens of thousands of acres, with blazes impacting air quality hundreds of miles away. Meteorologists say this blanket of smoke hovering over Utah could linger for days as more wild summer weather sets in across the country.
Here in the Northeast, crews are waking up this morning, still trying to clean up from the damage from that flood overnight that was really damaging homes and people's cars. But then when you go out west, millions are still facing extreme heat advisories, and that's through Wednesday. Hoda?
All right, Morgan Radford for us there on the Upper West Side. Morgan, thank you.
And now let's turn to Al with more of these coast-to-coast extreme conditions going. Al, we got to get that forecast.
That's right. And guys, unfortunately, they're not going to get much relief as far as getting a break from all this rain in the Northeast and mid-Atlantic states. You can see heavy showers and thunderstorms are firing up again today from Ohio all the way into the Northeast. Out in the plains, they're looking at severe weather. Here in the Northeast, we've got damaging winds possible, hail an inch or larger, and the possibility of some tornadoes. And then as we move into tomorrow, we are looking at a risk of severe weather really out to the northern plains. We're looking at 11 million people, damaging winds, hail, tornadoes likely stretching from Green Bay, Minneapolis down to Mason City. So we're going to be watching that. And the rain amounts, we're talking through central New York all the way into the upper Midwest, anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain. Now, as far as the heat is concerned, 10 million people stretching from Nevada all the way up into Washington State, looking at heat advisories, heat warnings. We've got that upper high high. It is finally going to weaken. And so while today we'll see temperatures again, 103 Salt Lake, 93 in Denver, Phoenix 107, Palm Springs 109, Fresno at 105, we will see temperatures start to moderate a bit. Still going to be triple digits for Vegas, Yuma, but Salt Lake City, you'll cool down into the upper 90s. Denver, you'll be in the upper 80s. Albuquerque, upper 80s. But unfortunately, the fire weather risk still continues. Isolated dry storms may set some lightning strikes, and those may even trigger off some more wildfires. So we're going to be watching this very closely as we get into this week. Hoda?
All right, Al, thank you. Now to some concerning news about COVID and a new warning connected with the Johnson.
1 p.m.
Can you believe it's here, Savannah? I mean, just that's shocking to hear you read that story. Wow.
Should probably start packing.
Yeah, it's time to do that. Coming up, guys, in our next hour, Chanel. She'll talk to some first-time Olympic swimmers, a new generation. Look at that group. All of them are teenagers, and they're going to make their mark, how they are drawing inspiration from the veterans on Team USA. But still, these guys are doing things their own way, so it'll be fun to watch them in action.
It's really exciting. Now let's get to your 7:30 headlines.
Kudos to Pete, but
Wow.
kudos to Trey as well.
Absolutely. Well, in other news, if you are enjoying a big cup of coffee right now, this story is going to wake you up. In the coming months, that cup of joe could cost more than you're used to thanks to global coffee prices that are on the rise. There was only one person who could cover this story, NBC News Now anchor Joe Fryer. Joe, good morning to you.
And now you know why I was assigned this story. You know, if you are like me and you are a regular at your corner coffee shop, you've probably heard of the Arabica bean. It's one of the most popular coffee beans in the U.S., and soon it could start giving you sticker shock. With prices soaring to a 5-year high, we're taking a look at what it could mean for the price of your morning cup of coffee.
Higher prices could be brewing for coffee lovers. The reason for a possible caffeine spike? Rising global coffee prices, fueled by dwindling supply and growing demand.
We have consistently seen the price of coffee get higher and higher.
World coffee production for this year is expected to be down 11 million bags from last year, largely to blame a devastating drought in Brazil, the world's largest supplier of coffee beans. The International Coffee Organization estimates that nearly a third of the country's Arabica crop to production
Could be brewing for coffee bean. It's one of the most popular coffee beans in the U.S., and soon it could start giving you sticker shock. With prices soaring to a 5-year high, we're taking a look at what it could mean for the price of your morning cup of coffee. Higher prices could be brewing for coffee lovers. The reason for a possible caffeine spike? Rising global coffee prices, fueled by dwindling supply and growing demand.
We have consistently seen the price of coffee get higher and higher.
World coffee production for this year is expected to be down 11 million bags from last year, largely to blame a devastating drought in Brazil, the world's largest supplier of coffee beans. The International Coffee Organization estimates that nearly a third of the country's Arabica crop for 2021-2022 was lost because of the dry spell.
Back to you guys.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. And coming up, what newly discovered fossils.
One of the ocean's greatest predators.
Scientists have been studying fossils for years, but now plenty of people
$50,000.
Wow.
Which explains why folks like
Really?
these are out here hunting early this morning looking for megalodon teeth. Really quite a find if you get one, guys.
My goodness. The megalodon is also Delano Melvin, my son. It's his favorite shark.
Won't encounter one, thankfully.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, Carrie. Let's get another check of the weather from Mr. Roker. Hi, Al.
We're going to need a much bigger boat. All right. And that is your latest weather. Savannah?
All right, Al. Thank you. And still ahead, Cynthia McFadden takes us to the epicenter of